If your opponent is not responding with any attacks, Fairy Wind does reasonable damage, and you can just start to clear off the entire board with that attack as well. So Sylveon does have some options for closing games, but we're far from that point. Right now, it's just going to be Magical Ribbon. I'm going to go get more stuff to remove those energy cards.
Yeah, that's one thing that Sylveon has over these other mill decks or stall decks. Like earlier in day one, we saw a Hoopa Wobbuffet just kind of stall deck. This deck can win on prize cards. It can say, okay, you don't have any resources, I'm going to start swinging for damage. And Fairy Wind, it two-shots just about everything in the format. There's very few things that's not going to be two-shotting.
Yep, the only thing you really don't get with the two-shot is Gardevoir GX, potentially Solgaleo GX if you come in contact with one of those. Riley going to bench a Rockruff. This is the corner Rockruff. Attaches an energy to it on the bench. That is safe from most energy removal cards. The only thing that can target that right now would be Crushing Hammer or Plumeria, and we don't see Plumeria in Kyle's deck list, so it's just going to be the Crushing Hammer that can actually pull that energy off. The only other option he would have would be Counter Catcher and Flare Grunt, but of course, Kyle's not down on prizes yet, so that's not an option.
We see Kyle's also already played 2 Crushing Hammer, and he's only playing 3 Crushing Hammer in the deck list. So if he wants to get those Crushing Hammers, he has to either hit his last copy in the deck or use some of his Puzzles of Time to go grab the Crushing Hammers, but that's really not what you want to be using those precious Puzzles of Time for.
Right, yeah. Another option that Kyle would have there, he is playing a 1/01 line of Gardevoir GX, and the Twilight GX attack can also shuffle in more of that energy removal and really keep that stream going until Riley runs out of every single option he'd have available. So another Sylveon GX coming down from Kyle as he plays that Fairy Energy, activates the Energy Evolution, has no other cards to disrupt Riley, just going to go with another Magical Ribbon, pulling that third Crushing Hammer and a Fairy Energy to evolve that third Eevee, and then going to contemplate, what's the final card that I need here? I'm not really sure.
It looked like Enhanced Hammer.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see what he does during his next turn.
Enhanced Hammer is certainly very good against the Zoroark Lycanroc deck. Most of the energies they do play are special between the Strong Energy and the double colorless energy, only a couple of the basic fightings, so storing that Enhanced Hammer in hand, definitely a strong move from Kyle's side as Riley continues to trade cards away, trading an Acerola there, not really useful against Sylveon until the very late game, then going to play Kukui to draw 2 more cards after both of his trades, going to attach Strong Energy to the Rockruff, and he could use the Bloodthirsty Eyes if he wants, but he's just going to pass. And that Enhanced Hammer going to immediately remove that Strong Energy. But first, we're going to flip for Crushing. And it's a heads. That basic energy is going to get removed as well. And Riley goes back down to 0 energy on board. And you can see how favorable Sylveon can really look in these matchups with these Zoroark decks.
Yeah, especially since the Zoroark is never going to be one-shotting the Sylveon. There's a bunch of,
not even close.
There's a bunch of times that if they're like whiffing energies and stuff, the Sylveon player can just play Acerola every other turn by chaining it with Lucamines and start really putting a damper on the amount of damage that the Zoroark deck can do and the amount of knockouts that it can take.
Yeah, and the Lycanroc not really going to be providing much support here now. All of those Sylveons on the board are identical, so Bloodthirsty Eyes does literally nothing right now, and without any energy stored on the Rockruff at this point, you can't even use the Claw Slash or Dangerous Rogue, which also don't do enough damage to knock out a Sylveon. So Kyle in a great position here. He's going to go with another Magical Ribbon. Might be pulling that Delinquent and start limiting Riley's hand. Nope, decides on 3 other cards I was not able to see because he was pulling them from the center of the deck. But you can only imagine that it's going to be more cards to remove energies and continue to run Riley out of any attacking options whatsoever.
Yeah, as we've said, the Sylveon deck, especially this early game, is just going to be, okay, let me get these energy removal cards and slow you down. And they're just going to say, you can take 5 prize cards this game, I don't care, but you're not going to take that last one.
Right, absolutely. And Riley continuing to draw through his deck with trade here. I'm not really sure exactly what card he's digging for, or if he's just drawing for the sake of doing it because, I have trades available, I want to use them. But this double colorless means Right is Beating will do 130. Kyle certainly will have a response to this by just removing that energy and then either playing a Max Potion or an Acerola. Double Puzzle grabs 2 ends from Riley. That's an interesting play because oftentimes you would see a double puzzle grabbing more energies to try and continue the attacking stream, but Riley going with a different option here, saying, I'm going to disrupt that magical ribbon play and try to not deck out by playing N.
Riley probably realizes that one of his ends is prized. He's only playing 3 copies of the card, which he played on turns 1 and 2. So he knew he was completely out of ends, and that is a very valuable resource against the Sylveon deck.
Right, yeah.
Especially after they've used Magical Ribbon as many turns in a row as Kyle has. A lot of times against these kind of stally, locky decks, you want to get an N when the turn you're going to swing to say, okay, no, you don't get those cards you just chose to try to disrupt me. Hopefully he doesn't find a healing card,
right?
Kind of things like that. And if you look at Riley's hand, there's an N, a couple Fairy Energies, a Rare Candy, a Field Blower, but nothing that really helps him out here. He's going to play that in and hope to draw into something else.
Yeah, and this is oftentimes how players beat the Sylveon deck is if they don't have, like in this case, Kyle has 3 Sylveon, so he's not in danger of losing anytime soon. But a lot of times Sylveon plays with just 1 Sylveon active and maybe 1 more basic on the bench, and you can really quickly run them out of the game by playing N, disrupting that chain of magical ribbons, and then just hit a couple attacks and then steal the game on just benching out the Sylveon player. But Kyle does have a draw supporter, attaches a fairy to his active Sylveon, then is going to play the N. What do you think about the energy to the active? You think he's going to retreat?
Oh, I think that's exactly what he's going to do. Worst case scenario for him is he top decks Max Potion, well not worst case, but if he top decks Max Potion, he retreats into other Sylveon, Max Potions, he's down a couple energy. He plays 11 fairies in his deck. Puzzles, Twilight GX, there's plenty of ways to get those back. He's not hurting for energy right now.
Yeah, it has to play that many energies because you really want to hit the turn 1, attach to EV and activate Energy Evolution to get the magical ribbon consistency going. So Kyle definitely has plenty of energies left. He could also maybe just draw an Enhanced Hammer or one of his puzzles from Crushing Hammer and just remove the energy from the active Zoroark GX, and then maybe the energy on the active could stay on the board.
Yeah, we see a pretty dead-looking hand, actually, on Kyle's side. He has the Professor's Letter. He's probably going to fail it, maybe grab 1, 2. So nothing too major. He's going to retreat this Sylveon to avoid it getting knocked out, because maybe he'll hit a Max Potion next turn, some sort of way to...
Yeah, could Magical Ribbon
he can Magical Ribbon for the Max Potion, or maybe even an Acerola, start trying to chain Acerolas going forward.
Yep. I'm going to go into a fresh...
Oh, no, there's the Max Potion right there.
There is already the Max Potion. Doesn't even have to Magical Ribbon for it, so... Going with the line of play that you had kind of forecast before he had played the N, and now no damage on Kyle's board. Riley has still not even taken a prize, and Kyle continuing to be in full control here.
Yeah, there's really not much Riley can do right now in this matchup.
Yeah, it's just not a great matchup for Zoroark Lycanroc. You don't play very many energies. You don't play any energy acceleration. You just have to hope that the Sylveon doesn't have enough outs to remove your energies while you try to apply as much pressure as possible. But with that strong energy attachment, Riley hoping that he can use Lycanroc at some point. But like I said earlier, Claw Slash, when he attaches a double colorless, that'll be doing 130. That's exactly how much damage that Zoroark in the active is doing right now. Kyle only has 2 bench Pokemon. Dangerous Rogue does even less damage than the Claw Slash. But I mean, you have a strong energy. It can't be attached to anything else. You might as well get your energy drop for the turn. So he attaches to the Rockruff.
Yeah, there's no reason really not to play it. He can use the Dangerous Rogue just as an attack, because this bench is never going to get big enough for a Dangerous Rogue to one-shot a GX Pokemon. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, Sylveon just doesn't build large benches.
Yeah. And I think that Kyle, he's in this position right now on day 2. There's a very slim chance that he makes such a major mistake in a game like this. So.
Well, the N is going to cause both players to shuffle and draw 6. Another right is beating for 130. Let's see if Kyle has got a response to this. He draws his 4th Eevee. Doesn't really need that. Probably shouldn't play that. Doesn't want to give Lycanroc the out to Dangerous Rogue for 200 with a strong energy and a choice band. Probably best to not bench any more Pokemon. Goes with the Acerola. Heals that damage off again. Opens up a bench spot as well, so if he wants to get Ralts down, he can, but doesn't really need Gardevoir right now. So just continuing the Magical Ribbon and Energy Disruption. It's been working thus far. No reason to stop now.
If he did want to, he does have the Nest Ball in hand, but he decides, no, I'm okay with just going with the Sylveon for the rest of this game, or at least for right now. Probably just, he doesn't even look at his deck. Just picks it up and shuffles it.
Plays Nest Ball, says, I don't need this. Let's put that in the discard pile. Also worth noting, he attaches the Fairy Energy to the Sylveon and not the Eevee to activate Energy Evolution, and that is because he only plays 3 copies of Sylveon GX, 2 are on the board, and the 3rd is in his hand. So Kyle not even making the mistake of putting the energy there and potentially being an easy knockout for Riley to pull up. So Kyle really covering all of his bases here, has the bodybuilding dumbbells to be even harder to get knocked out. Goes with Magical Ribbon and going to start moving Puzzle of Time and probably Max Potion to the front and just make it impossible for Riley to pull any prize cards.
Yeah, so Kyle just goes and he's going to grab these cards that locks up the game, locks up these turns at least.
Yep, there hasn't been any energy disruption coming out of Kyle the past 2 turns. As we see, there are 2 energies on Riley's board. There could potentially be a 3rd. He's got access to one in his hand, which certainly is surprising. Sylveon tends to have opponents' boards with 0 energy in play, but with those double puzzles coming out of the Magical Ribbon that Kyle just did, you can only imagine that Enhanced Hammer is going to be coming back with a vengeance in the near future.
Yeah, he also grabbed a Max Potion, so whatever damage Riley does here is going to be negated.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. And Riley going to continue to trade, looking for more energy cards. Riley's beating another 130 damage that not going to be there for long. It's the top deck for Kyle, another Max Potion. So he's got so many answers.
Yeah, he can even use this. He decides he's going to enhance hammer on the bench. He can get rid of all of the energy right now.
He can. Flare Grunt's the active, and then with the double puzzle, can get another enhanced hammer if he wants to, as well as a fairy energy. And with this Max Potion, just goes right back to, hey, you have no energies and Magical Ribbon. I'm going to go get some more cards. Evolves the Eevee to the Sylveon that he had ace rolled up the previous turn. Not going to play the puzzles for the enhanced hammers at this point. That Rockruff, I mean, it's not threatening. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Claw Slash and Dangerous Rogue not doing any more damage than Wright is beating at this point, so playing a second enhanced hammer, it doesn't really matter.
It's kind of, it kind of seems like a waste at that point. The attacks with the Lycanroc are a little bit harder to deal with because there are multiple energy, but once they get to a point where they need, if you can clear all the energy off, they need double attachment. So
right, and then there's just a Lycanroc in the active, and good luck attacking with that if it has no energies ever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure how many energies are in Riley's discard, but it's a lot.
It is a lot, and he's already played 2 Puzzle of Time targeting not energy cards, so his number of energy outs is certainly going to be running thin. His top deck is double colorless, though, so he can continue to attack, but Riley has sunk so many attacks into these Sylveons, and there's no damage on Kyle's board.
I think I saw 2 DCEs in Riley's hand, which I believe are the last 2 DCEs in his deck.
Yeah, I believe so.
And he's also completely out of ends. Other than he's got this one on the prize card, he's played those other 2 end twice with the puzzles.
Right. Looks through his deck here with the Ultra Ball. Looking at his options, yeah, there's no more energies in that deck. Gonna grab the Rockruff so that he doesn't draw it, meaning he can potentially draw some better cards, but I don't really know what better cards Riley can even draw here. He seems to be pretty much locked out of the game at this point. I can only imagine Kyle's going to start applying pressure either with the Handiwork or the Fairy Wind to try to win this game.
Yeah, either one is going to put out. Riley just said, yeah, I can't win this game.
Yeah, when you don't have any energy cards, man, it feels really bad when you can't attack. And Sylveon definitely showing why it is favored in these Zoroark matchups. Zoroark decks, Zoroark, Lycanroc, Zoroark, Golisopod. They don't play very many energy cards. They don't play any energy acceleration whatsoever. So it's really hard to keep those energies and really get them to stick. And they don't have any out to one-shot a Sylveon.
Yeah, the decks that Sylveon really struggles against are things that have like infinite energy acceleration and will never run out, and then decks that one-shot them.
Right.
And Zoroark, Lycanroc is a deck that does neither of those things.
Right, yeah, some problems that Sylveon can run into are some Volcanion decks sometimes with either the Kiawe or the Power Heaters, Nitro Tanks. This can be kind of difficult to handle sometimes in like metal decks with the Solgaleo Prism. Yeah. Use that, what was the attack called? I forget what the first attack is called. It gets a metal energy for every Pokemon that your opponent has in play. Rising Star might be something like that. And just have so many energies in play, it's really hard to beat those kind of decks. Zoroark, not one of those.
Yeah, so Zoroark just doesn't have a great out in this matchup. Zoroark, great, consistent deck.
Absolutely.
Handles so many matchups so well, has so many options, but one of the things it doesn't have options against are these mill and these energy denial decks. And so,
yeah, it's very possible that we see Sylveon kind of just start to continue to run through Zoroark, and very likely we see it in the top 8 because we got a lot of Zoroark here in Day 2.
Yeah, I expect we have a lot of there's a lot of these kind of mill, grindy, stally decks in this format or in this tournament. I know there's multiple Hoopa decks in the top 32, multiple Sylveon in the top 32. So they're all trying to feed off of these great matchups they have against some of the top decks.
Right, these players really making the correct call, saying Zoroark is just so dominant in this game right now. Why not play a deck that has a really good matchup against Zoroark variants?
Yeah, as we were talking about, we were calling it the Zoroark trading card game yesterday.
Zoromon the trading card game.
And, well, you know, this deck beats that.
That's right. That's right. Both players shuffling up here, going to start drawing their opening hands. I would not be surprised if Kyle were to mulligan. He does only play 6 basics. It's definitely not a high count. And there is a mulligan that's going to go over to Riley. Give him some options to set up a little bit quicker this game. Maybe apply a lot of quick pressure because sometimes Sylveon doesn't get a good opening. Maybe they open an Eevee, don't have an energy. Or, in worst case scenario, they open Ralts and they just pass because there's not many outs to Eevee unless you start it. So if you start that Ralts, you then have to find Eevee and Fairy Energy. This deck plays no draw supporters. Like, actually, there's just an N.
Yeah, there's a single N. One thing they do have going for them is, or at least in Kyle's list, a lot of these Sylveon lists aren't playing that many search cards for the Pokemon. Kyle is playing 4 Nest Ball.
Oh, wow, you're right.
He's playing 4 Nest Ball, 11 Fairies. So if he starts an Eevee, he should be able to either at least hit another Pokemon or an Energy.
Yeah, so let's see as the players put down their prizes. Does prize an Eevee on Kyle's side and a Nest Ball, so it is 2 outs to Eevee, but I think he has started it, and he has. So now Riley's options already limited a little bit because he can't just go for an aggressive turn 2 knockout. That Eevee almost certainly going to evolve with the Energy Evolution, and he's going to have to be staring down 200 HP Sylveon using Magical Ribbon on the first turn.
Yeah, on the prizes, there's nothing too crazy, though. There's the 1 DCE in Riley's prize cards.
Yeah.
If he takes prize cards like most people do, which is from the bottom, it will be in his first 2.
Yep.
So that might actually be exactly where you want it, because it can't get discarded out of your hand with like a Skull Grunt or something like that, which it looks like Kyle's actually not playing.
Yeah, opted against the Skull Grunt here in favor of some other cards, potentially making some room for 4 Nest Ball in order to do that, saying, you know what, Skull Grunt, not necessarily that useful for me here. I'd rather be consistent in getting that Eevee down and getting the Sylveon in play as fast as possible, because that's really where my deck shines. Riley filling his bench up, got plenty of Zoros, plenty of Rockruffs. That's the ideal turn 1 other than an energy drop. There comes that Nest Ball you were talking about. Kyle playing one of those 4 copies. Goes and gets... he has another Eevee in his hand, it looks like, as well. So you could get 3 Eevees down. I don't think you need the Gardevoir in this matchup at all. It's probably not even worth trying to get that into play.
I mean, if anything, you can get it out late game, but you don't need it early, and you have so many ways to go grab it as the game moves forward. I like benching all these Eevees. They're probably at least one's going to get knocked out by a Ride of Speeding.
Yeah. And then going to Nest Ball also for Hoopa activates the Energy Evolution with the Fairy Energy, so we will see the Magical Ribbon come out of Kyle here on his first turn. Start to get, he's going to start looking for some energy disruption, as Riley will need to be attaching energies if he's going to be putting any sort of pressure on his following turn. He's going to start checking his prizes, Kyle is, as he's using this Energy Evolution here. Going to see, okay, I don't really have anything terribly impactful in there. That Counter Catcher maybe could be useful. That is the only one that he plays. But saying, you know what, I think I'm good to just go ahead and Magical Ribbon here. I've already got a Crushing Hammer in my hand, so I've already got some disruption. We can stack on a little bit more and get that Parallel City as well. Limit Riley's damage output even more.
Yeah, if there's a point where Riley gets stuck 3-shotting a Sylveon, like I was saying earlier, the Lusamine Acerola chain is infinite.
Real.
There's no way to stop it.
Yeah, you just play the Acerola, heal the Sylveon, and then on the following turn, you play Lusamine, and you put a second Lusamine in the Acerola you just played back into your hand, and ultimately that just nets you an Acerola back to your hand. And then the following turn, play Acerola again. Zoroark is not putting on enough pressure to knock out Sylveons while you take turns playing the Lusamine. So you just infinitely heal damage until Zoroark loses the game.
So nothing too crazy on Riley's side in his hand. He's got a Fighting Energy. He can go onto a Rockruff for to try to power up a Lycanroc or something.
Yeah.
He does have an N. Maybe draw into a DCE Zoroark. He got rid of those disruption cards. But I think Riley has to look and see. He sees that Hoopa on the bench. And he has to wonder, how am I ever going to get past that?
Right, you cannot evolve that promo Rockruff on the bench, because otherwise you just don't have a great way to handle that Hoopa and take a prize on it quick enough. If you're only doing like 30 damage or 20 with the double colors with like the Zora Ram, that's just going to get removed, and that 20 damage doesn't even matter.
So one thing that could be big in this matchup are those 2 Professor Kukuis that Riley plays. It allows him to Kukui. It'll swing for 100 with a strong energy. Or it just makes it so that there's more options to knock out the Hoopa.
Right, yeah. Riley's N here going to give him that Parallel City, so he can play the 3 bench against Kyle, preventing Kyle from playing the 3 bench against Riley. He's going to go ahead and Ultra Ball it away because he does need to draw an attacker this turn.
One thing to note is I don't think that Kyle showed the Parallel City game 1. So sometimes players, they don't see that card that they were thinking maybe my opponent plays that.
Yeah,
and so they're like, okay, I don't need this Parallel City. But I believe that, Kyle got the Parallel City end away from him, but Kyle can go and grab that Parallel City, and it's going to be very bad for Riley.
Yeah, that's definitely the case, as he does draw into a second Zoroark GX here. Already does have the double colorless, so a pretty good turn coming out of Riley here. We'll see if Kyle has got an answer to that double colorless energy, an Enhanced Hammer, a Flare Grunt, heads on Crushing Hammer, all valid options. I do see Flare Grunt, the second card from the right there, but not much else in the hand, so he's going to have to go with the Acerola, pick up that Sylveon, and then can promote the Eevee, play down again the energy and the Sylveon if he wants, or he could just activate Energy Evolution, get that Sylveon out of the deck instead, and keep the one in his hand, and that's exactly what he's going to do here. Gets the Sylveon GX, puts it back down on the active, and then he's going to start considering, what am I going to Magical Ribbon for here? Probably Enhanced Hammer.
Yeah, I'd assume so. Enhanced Hammer, Max Potion, Energy?
Yep.
Something along those lines.
He's got the double Puzzle of Time already in his hand. We're a little early in the game for those to be very powerful, but already has those stored up for once he goes through a couple Max Potion and Enhanced Hammers, that he's going to be set basically for the whole game. Those exact 3 cards that we had just said, Kyle pulls to the front and says, these are my 3 Magical Ribbon targets. Back over to you, Riley.
Yeah, you have to assume, Riley knows that he needs, not Riley, Kyle knows he just needs to heal, to disrupt the energy, and eventually Riley's going to stop attacking.
Right, you'll just build the exact same board state that you did in game 1, where Riley has no more options to attack, has no more double colors energy outs, or if he does, not enough to close the game, certainly. And as Kyle finishes shuffling, Riley says, hey, I got another N, put those back, you can't keep those cards, get a fresh set of 6 instead.
The problem for Riley is he needs these Ns to stick every time,
yes,
really.
Really, yes, he does. Yeah, if he plays this N and then Kyle still can follow it up with Supporter of his own and a Magical Ribbon, the Ns don't really do too much. It maybe buys Riley a turn because Kyle doesn't have Enhanced Hammer in his hand anymore. But really what you need to do with this N is you need to play N. Kyle have no response, can't heal, can't remove an energy, just has Magical Ribbon. Then you play N again, knock out the only Sylveon on the board, and then you can start actually putting on enough pressure to close a game out.
I think you actually, instead of ending immediately after you take the first knockout, you wait until they have another, so they attack again with a Sylveon.
Right, yeah, of course if they have a second Sylveon, then you would need to keep the end. But in this particular case, if Kyle does not have a second Sylveon available, then you can just apply a lot of pressure by doing that. But he does have Enhanced Hammer, so not going to happen here.
The thing about this deck, too, is that the Eevee is almost a Sylveon. It just needs one Fairy Energy. Like we mentioned earlier, Kyle is playing a high count of those Fairy Energies.
Yes. Plays the Lusamine from Kyle, picks up just the Acerola and says, I'll use this next turn. Doesn't have any other supporter in his hand, so might as well go ahead and do that. Just like you're saying, Eevee is basically Sylveon, attaches the energy and becomes the Sylveon. So now there are 2 Sylveons on the board. No way to retreat the active Sylveon, though, so if Riley has another double colorless energy, he will be able to take some prizes here and get one of those crucial DCEs out of the prize cards as well in doing so.
Yeah, I think that's exactly... Riley is looking at this and he says, yes, this is what I wanted. Yes, my energy is gone, but you can't win a game if you're not taking prize cards. And right here, he has an opportunity to take the knockout on this active Sylveon.
So Kyle going to be considering, what 3 cards do I need? Max Potion certainly going to be a good one, but if he just gets knocked out, Max Potion not going to have an effect this next turn. So Certainly a good card to have if Riley misses the double colorless energy, but if Riley has it, that max potion will not have any effect this coming turn.
Kyle also needs another out to an Eevee, so he can get another Eevee down. He just goes, it looks like Parallel City, Team Flare Grunt. I didn't see what the last card was.
It might have been, I think it was either max potion or a second Team Flare Grunt. I'm not sure on which one it was. Riley going to come over and start trading, trying to find double colorless.
He's got it right there in his hand.
All right, well, he can taste those prize cards coming towards him. He's going to trade a Cynthia as well, draws more energies. I wonder if he could... He's certainly not fearing the Skull Grunt at this point. Kyle not showing Team Skull Grunt because if you already have energies in your hand, you don't really want to trade as Riley into more energies if your opponent can just Skull Grunt them straight to the discard pile.
Fortunately for Riley, there is no Skull Grunt in Kyle's deck.
Right.
But that is a common card played in these Sylveon decks.
It is.
And we see Riley go for double N again. Like I said, I don't love this play. I'd rather just take this knockout here. I know that you're going to lose that energy.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to end him on the turn after you swing into the Sylveon.
Right, so he's going to go ahead, play that end. Kyle will get 6 random cards. We don't know what they will be, but it's not game ending. Kyle has a second Sylveon on the board, so he is still going to be able to soak 2 more turns of damage with that Sylveon, and already has an energy as well, so he can just use Magical Ribbon anyway. But Riley's saying, you know what, I favor you not having those 3 cards you just picked out of your deck. I'm going to give you a different set of 6, and I'm going to take 2 prizes.
Yeah. So the one thing about about playing the end here is he does get 2 extra cards, which can be helpful moving forward. He doesn't know that he's going to draw into that DCE, but that's also, of course, fantastic for him. Like I said, I still would have liked to see him hold off on the end there, just because you want to get rid of the Sylveon's out to healing.
Right. You're going to draw his 6 cards from Riley.
3 Crushing Hammer.
None of them are really good from Riley's side, but Kyle, plenty of energy disruption. Going to definitely get rid of that double colorless unless he just flips a bunch of tails, which certainly seems unlikely.
Okay, we see the 3 Crushing Hammer as well as the Parallel City.
Right.
So we're probably going to see him play that Parallel City down, and it's going to force Riley to discard probably the Lele and the Zorua on his bench. Maybe the Guardian's Rising Rockruff that's
the one
sitting
with the
there.
Corner attack. Yeah, but what is most important to note there is Right is beating then, even with the Choice Band, caps at 90 damage, which is not enough to 2-shot Sylveon GX. And Riley does play 3 copies of Field Blower. I'm not sure how many he has traded away, but definitely a little surprised that, Parallel City, okay.
Riley's also traded away quite a few of his Pokemon for this game, so he needs those Pokemon to fill his bench so that his Rider's beating attack does more damage.
All right, that first Crushing Hammer does hit the heads. Wow, Kyle's hand is just Crushing Hammer and energies. Gonna need to Magical Ribbon for a different variety of cards there. But Riley now does have Field Blower in his hand, so he can get rid of the Parallel City, but it's important to note that Sylveon can also go infinite on Parallel City because Lusamine can target stadiums all the same.
Yeah, that is very true. So now Riley knows that his Field Blowers are very important resources. One thing to note is that there are no Eevees or Sylveons on Kyle's bench. So if Riley is able to go, he has the DCE in hand.
Yep.
I did see a Field Blower in there. If he can fill his bench, go DCE on the active, play another copy of N.
It's exactly the play. Yep, that's the one. That's the pressure play on Sylveon when they don't have another one on the bench. You get rid of their Magical Ribbon, and then they don't have any outs to respond immediately. You close the game out really fast. So we're going to see this next turn from Riley going to be crucial if he can get enough Pokemon in N.
He has the Lele in hand. Yeah, this looks like it's going to be a very strong turn for Riley.
This is going to be the turn where we see Riley try to take the game back from Sylveon. Goes and looks for the 2 ends that he puzzled for. Going to pull one out, say, I'm not playing this yet. I've got the double colors in my hand. I need to put that down first, but I'm certainly going to be playing this turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Riley needs to play this end and needs to hope that Kyle just can't draw a healing card. I'm wondering if we're going to see another Pokemon. We see the promo Rockruff. That's great for Riley as well because, as we were saying, those promo Rockruffs are very valuable in this matchup as they are the only things that can really do any sort of real damage to that Hoopa.
Yeah, so what we need from Riley to see Kyle not draw is we need no way to remove the double colorless energy, or at the very least Riley needs to have another double colorless energy in his hand, and we need to see no max potion. Acerola, doesn't really help Kyle too much because then he just promotes the Hoopa and he doesn't have a magical ribbon. He can just immediately put down the Eevee, attach the energy, and he'll have another Sylveon available, but there will be no magical ribbon to follow that play up.
There will be no magical ribbon, but the H-Roll at least stops Riley from drawing those 2 prize cards.
Right.
As well as Riley still has to deal with this Hoopa that he doesn't have a great way to handle.
Let's see, those 6 cards from Kyle, I can't really tell.
I think it's Acerola and Eevee, which are 2 great cards.
Those are very good cards for him here. I think there might have been a Max Potion as well. Riley going to go with a trade, trades away another Field Blower.
I don't like that play because, as we were saying, those Field Blowers are super valuable now that we know that. Because the Lusamine can go grab a supporter card or a
drop
Stadium.
Parallel City, though, which means now Kyle cannot flip it without playing a Field Blower of his own, of which he only does play 1 copy. Top deck is a Routes. Let's see how Kyle responds to this play. Riley crossing his fingers saying, just don't have it. Just don't have a way to heal.
Interesting. He plays the Acerola and just says, okay, here's the Hoopa. Now deal with the Hoopa.
Eevee comes back down. Energy probably to the Eevee. Pulls the Fairy Energy to the front. The rest of the cards in his hand. Field Blower. I'm not sure what that is to the left of the DCE. I thought it was Max Potion. It might be Max Potion because it actually doesn't... He would not have wanted to play it because he didn't have a Fairy Energy in his hand, so...
He has the Fairy Energy now. He could have benched the Eevee that was in his hand. Acerola picked up the active, sent the Eevee up, and then Energy Evolution, gotten another Sylveon out.
Right.
I think he decided, you know what? Riley doesn't have a good way to deal with this Hoopa, and if he does, he's expending so many resources on just Rockruffs to attack for 30 damage.
Since Kyle doesn't have a way to remove the double colorless energy, if he goes and does that fancy bench Eevee, Acerola, attached energy, get the new Sylveon out of the deck, he's not removing the energy off of the Zoroark, so he just gets hit back again for another 100 damage. So he's going to attach the double colorless to Hoopa. That's only going to be for retreating purposes. Kyle plays no way to pay for that dark energy cost in Hoopa's Super Cybolt attack, so preparing to retreat it in the following turn because you certainly do not expect Riley to put the cards together to knock out this Hoopa.
Riley is preparing, it looks like, to trade maybe that Kukui. If he keeps the Kukui, he decides not to. The Kukui, he can attach Fighting to a Rockruff this turn. If it's not discarded next turn, go Strong Energy.
Kukui,
Lycanroc up the Koopa, knock it out.
That would be exactly 120 damage. There comes down the basic energy card. He's got everything in his hand to actually pull that off. But he's going to just knock out an Eevee. This seems like it could be fine, but the energy is on the Lycanroc and not the Rockruff.
I really don't like that. You want to, if you get that second energy down, you can knock out the Hoopa. You're going to go back to even prize cards. That was his only real out to knock it out. I think he was in a pretty decent spot.
Certainly using Bloodthirsty Eyes to knock out an Eevee seems fine, but we would have liked to have seen him evolve the other Rockruff.
Yes,
keep
for
the energy on the basic. But going to see Kyle now, activate the Energy Evolution, gets another Sylveon down. Still doesn't have any energy disruption in his hand because he did not Magical Ribbon the previous turn. So in a little bit tighter of a spot than we did see in Game 1. Looks like he's just announcing Magical Ribbon right now. Pulls up the Flare Grunt, which will help him start to control some energies. Also does get a Max Potion in preparation for taking a hit from this Zoroark GX.
I'm just still struggling to see how Riley is going to deal with this Hoopa. Like I said, his out was to go Strong Energy onto that Rockruff. Fighting Energy on the Rockruff, then a Strong, and then a Kukui. Now, if this Strong Energy doesn't get knocked out, he doesn't even need the Kukui. He can go double Strong Energy.
Right. So we'll see if that is what the Enhanced Hammer would target. Certainly, if Kyle had an Enhanced Hammer, he'd probably want to get rid of the double colors on the Zoroark first. So potentially it's okay. That Strong Energy might end up being safe, but we'll see because Riley does have an N here, so Kyle's hand might not end up being all that great.
Riley, of course, is only drawing those 3 cards. I'm not sure how many trades he's used this game. I believe know
it's 0.
If there's any this turn,
He doesn't really need to draw anything right now. He's already attached his energy for the turn. He's got an energy on his active, so he can attack. There's not really anything that Riley needs to see right now. That N is certainly more of, I want to cancel out that Magical Ribbon that Kyle just did.
For sure.
Going to cut the decks. Riley gets his 3, Kyle gets his 6. Again, really critical which 6 cards Kyle is getting here. Is there healing? Is there energy disruption? Those are the cards he needs to see. I do see Max Potion and Fairy Energy. And Riley going to trade away a basic fighting.
That is all of his basic fightings for the game.
In the discard or on the board at this point. Draws into double colorless, so that is helpful. And I do see a Puzzle of Time in Riley's hand, so there is at least one copy of that to cycle more ends or more energies. Right is beating 100 damage, back over to Kyle. Yep, max potion and fairy energy in his hand. Nullifies Riley's previous turn and says, you need to have another N here.
It's also that Flare Grunt in hand.
Oh, wow, this is a good hand that Kyle got off of that N.
So Kyle's probably going to go grab, Enhanced Hammer, Max, maybe another Max Potion. Yeah, Max Potion's the first thing he grabs.
Yep. Flare Grunt, also a fine card to grab.
He knows, okay, we just want to deal with this, Flare Grunt, Enhanced Hammer, Max Potion.
It's going to be that 1-2 punch, removing 2 energies from the board at the same time, both from the active double colorless that the Zoroark will have, as well as the benched strong energy. We'll have to see if Riley has another N to respond to this, because if he doesn't, Kyle's probably going to reestablish himself in control of this game.
Or he could here. Riley could Guzma up the Hoopa. He's got the second strong in hand. He can take a knockout on this Hoopa, get it off the board. Like I've been saying, this Hoopa is going to be such a nuisance for Riley throughout this entire game.
He trades into the second puzzle, so now he has the option to play the N as well. The thing with playing the Guzma on the Hoopa is you're going to be putting 2 energy Rockruff in the active, and then both of those energies get knocked off, and then you just have a Rockruff with no energy stuck in the active.
Yeah, I feel like that's actually fine though. You need to figure out a way to get it out of the turn, out of the active later. But I still think that the strongest play here is to bring up that Hoopa, take the knockout on it, put yourself down to 2 prize cards, and then just try to punch through this one Sylveon.
Riley opting for the double puzzle play, going to be pulling up more N's from his discard pile, potentially doing the double N once more. Also, N double colorless seems fine. You got to expect that this double colorless might get removed from the Zoroark, and he needs to keep that stream up if he wants to apply as much pressure as possible to these Sylveons. Goes with the N. Kyle continuing to only draw 6 cards. But we'll see if there's more healing and more energy disruption off of those 6 that he draws. If he draws a similar set of cards to the one he drew off of this previous end, the previous turn, Riley's going to be in a tough spot.
Yeah. One thing, he gets rid of those. We knew that Riley's borders would be cleared of energy, other than the one on that Lichen Rock. That's really not doing anything.
Really doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm going to cut decks here. Riley draws 3 not particularly important cards right now. We'll be looking at Kyle's hand, see if those 6 cards has Max Potion or Enhanced Hammer, Flare Grunt. I see Flare Grunt and then just double Field Blower. Is that what that was, maybe?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure which cards were there.
I think no. Kyle only does play 1 copy of Field Blower. Oh, maybe it was Bodybuilding Dumbbells. Riley going with more trades. There's going to be Right is beating 100 damage. Kyle has any healing cards whatsoever? I'm not sure it's in his hand.
If it is the Bodybuilding Dumbbells, that card is still relevant because Riley cannot take a 2-shot.
He'd have to find a Field Blower to remove it. If he does have access to the Field Blower, then he could knock out the Sylveon. Kyle, looking through his discard pile, he does have double Puzzle of Time in his hand, so he will have options for Max Potion and energy removal. And yeah, it is the Bodybuilding Dumbbells also in his hand. Riley's heart probably sinking at the sight of double puzzle coming from Kyle. Going to be energy and Max Potion, just removing this previous turn that Riley had. Not going to be removing too many energies from his board though. Kyle does have the Flare Grunt in his hand. Team Flare Grunt will be able to remove the active energy, but he will not be touching the strong energy on the bench Rockruff on this turn.
So this is part of the reason why I don't like ending that turn.
Yeah. Is
because now that the N is gone, and so is the damage. If he'd have punched through, try to punch first. If he'd have punched first and end. Oh no, sorry. I'm lost. Never mind. Yeah, never mind. Ignore me.
Right. Knock out the Hoopa, go down to 2 prizes, and then try to play N and hit the Sylveon and hope that Kyle has no response to it. But Kyle pretty much has always had a response to the ends that Riley is playing here. Always has the correct cards. Double Puzzle and Flare Grunt, certainly a good set of cards to draw off of N. Now back over to Riley, does have a healthy set of cards in his hand, has 3 Zoroark GX on the board at this point, so he can keep trading until he draws exactly what he wants, but now we see the Guzma
play. I think that, like I said, I think he should have done this last turn. Mm-hmm. It would have saved him a DCE at least for a certain amount of time. Who knows exactly how long, but...
All right, well, this Rockruff going in with geez, I don't even know what that second attack is called. I've never seen it used or heard it used before.
Yeah, I've never seen that attack used before. I know it does 20 damage.
It's got 2 words in it. It might be Rock Smash. I'm not really sure, but it does 120 damage with the double strong energy. Riley down to 2 prizes. Just needs 1 more Sylveon knockout to close this second game out. Kyle looking through his hands, got the Field Blower, removes Parallel City. Doesn't really matter much unless Kyle plays Parallel City back onto Riley's side of the board.
So Riley's looking at his hand like, wow, this Rockruff's actually going to start hitting me for some okay damage.
Yeah, I mean, 60 damage. It's Rock Throw is the name of the attack. I was just barely off calling it Rock Smash. So Rock Throw doing 60 right now. It's not inconsequential damage, but Kyle going to continue to be removing those energies. Now that Rock Throw not doing nearly as much damage, going to go with a Magical Ribbon here. Now this is the turn. If Riley has double colorless energy and an N, this is the turn.
Yes.
If he can pull that off and then Kyle draws no healing cards, game will end.
He just wins the game if he's able to do that.
Yeah, so
and
we'll
then
see.
we probably end up with a tie at that point. There's only 3.5 minutes left in the game.
3.5 minutes left, and that can be a downfall of this Sylveon deck. Plays very long games, and sometimes you will lose it really close and long game because just the way the game plays out. Sometimes you'll get donked because you start Ralts or you don't have a fairy energy, and then you just win a really long game and you're not able to close game 3.
Something very critical that I think Kyle just realized is he doesn't have any EVs left, so he cannot start Ace Rolla chaining. He's got to get these max potions or just like straight energy denial every turn.
Yeah.
And he's running very low on resources, prized a max potion. All of a sudden, Kyle's kind of in like a backseat position.
Right, now we might have to start seeing from Riley's side, start to play a little quick here in order to close this game out. You don't want to lose on time, certainly. He's going to start the trade train in order to find access to N. Does he still have access to N? He's played all of his puzzles with time at this point. So is there even another N in his deck? If not, he might not be able to capitalize on Kyle's board position. We'll just have to see. He does have Field Blower to remove the bodybuilding dumbbells. That is certainly good for him. 1 card left in deck as well.
Oh, is it only 1 card left in deck?
I think it was just 1 card that got moved when he said trade.
Yeah. Riley's deck is off screen right now.
He's got multi-switch that he might be pulling that fighting energy up to the Rockruff. Certainly a strange situation for Riley to be in here. If he doesn't have N, Kyle's going to have enough gas to basically stall out the game long enough to where Riley cannot win. Going into Lycanroc GX, the multi-switch will move the strong energy to the active. Dangerous Rogue does 20 damage right now. He's got another strong energy. It does 0 plus 20, which still would not work. That doesn't work like that. So Claw Slash though, 150 damage. That is what Riley's turn is going to be. Unfortunately, no N coming out of him. I wonder if Kyle has Team Rocket's handiwork in his hand.
Now Riley thinking, okay, I have this for this. Now maybe we'll get to see. Yeah, that's a big discard pile.
It's a huge discard pile. It's super hard to count the number of N's in there. I do see there's 1, there's 2. I counted 2. I'm not really sure if all 3 are in there, but he's going to just put 3 Pokemon back into the deck so that he doesn't deck out immediately.
Oh, it's very thin.
It's just those 4 cards. So Team Rocket's handiwork not nearly as impactful. I mean, if you flip double heads, you would still win the game, but we'll just have to see what comes out of Kyle's side as Riley so close, 1 attack away from closing this game out. But I'm pretty sure Kyle has got Max Potion energy in his hand. We'll have to see. He draws, it's a Flare Grunt at Max Potion and energy in Kyle's hand. Goes with the Max Potion. Will also be able to play Team Flare Grunt this turn, removing 1 of the energies from Lycanroc, and has Double Puzzle and Enhanced Hammer. This has got to be the game-sealing turn here.
There's also an opportunity here just to go Rocket's handiwork and say, okay, no.
Go for the double heads and just steal the game straight up, but certainly a safer play to just remove all the energies, heal yourself, and say, you know what, you're not going to be able to close this game anymore. I'm going to either win on time or you're just going to deck out. Double puzzle, max
he's just going to clear. He's just going to clear all the energy.
All of those energies are going to disappear. Second enhanced hammer, Flare Grunt. Riley is out of energies. He concedes the game.